DIYers, hey, what's going on? Mike Boers with the Whiteboards channel. Thank you for watching. We are working on our Chrysler Pacifica, and we've got a P0456 error code or fault code, and the check engine light is on. And that is a leak in our EVAP system. Let's take a look. We're outside, and in front of us is our 2018 Chrysler Pacifica. Let's hop inside the vehicle and continue the project. Next, what I did was turn the engine off, and I grabbed our OBD2 scanner. This is the Bosch brand, and DIYers, down below in the comments and description will be a link on where to purchase this. This is awesome. I can't tell you how many times this has come into play and helped us during our DIY repair videos over the years. However, coming down closer, let's take a look at the actual OBD connection port. As you see, the shape of it and the cable. Coming up and under to our actual port installed in the vehicle, we are going to align this properly, come up and secure it, and get it in there firmly, and that will actually automatically turn on our OBD scanner. As you see, let's take a closer view, and we are going to perform a vehicle diagnostic, and I'm going to select enter, and we are going to select the auto ID, enter, and please turn the key off for 10 seconds, then turn the key on. Press enter to continue. Coming back up top and down to the ignition or engine start stop, we are going to select it once, and in 5 seconds we are going to select it again, because coming up top right now, although it turns on our instrument cluster, it is not turned on the ignition. So now coming back down, pushing it one more time, and as you see, ignition or accessory on. Coming back down to the OBD scanner, I'm going to select enter, and I'll hop in the vehicle to alleviate that beeping. Inside the vehicle, coming back down and selecting enter, and it is now communicating with the vehicle. Making progress, the IM or ignition monitor tests are complete. Press enter to continue. And we now have our quick test results, OBD2 4 codes, and select enter. And the first one is P0456. Let's take a closer view of it. Evaporative emission system leak detected. Very small leak. That is the first of 4 and confirmed. Alright, DIYers, hey, quick break in the action. And again, this is the first of 4 codes. However, in this video, we are going to focus solely on the P0456. And that's because in our case, the additional 3 codes have to do with the transmission and really have nothing to do with the EVAP system, which is short for the evaporative emission system. And again, as you can see in parentheses, it says we have a very small leak. That's much better than a large leak. However, continuing on, what's the P0456 really mean? And to answer that again, the system has detected a very small leak within the EVAP system. And what is the purpose of that system? Long story short, or the 101 version of it, it is a system designed or engineered to prevent fuel vapors from escaping into the atmosphere. Furthermore, when the engine is running and the fuel is being pumped out of the fuel tank and cycling throughout the fuel lines and through the engine and being burned off, there again is that EVAP system, which contains a few hoses, a charcoal canister, a purge valve, and some seals. And there's a few additional items within that system, however, those are the most important. And again, while the engine is running, that charcoal canister is trapping fuel vapors until the engine burns it off. And again, while the engine is running and you are out driving, the engine control unit basically does periodic tests on the entire system, really just to make sure that the EVAP system is operating as designed and it's not leaking. However, if your vehicle is several years old, which ours is, mechanical things with age begin to wear out and break down and fail, or in our case, experience a very small leak. And whether the leak is small or large, regardless, once the system performs that periodic test and detects that leak, it will immediately trigger this P0456 fault code, as it should, right? Because that's important, or at least for us. We want to know when our EVAP system is leaking so we can get it fixed. So with that said, now that we have a basic understanding of what the EVAP system is and that fault code P0456, let's talk about a few additional common causes that can lead to this error code being triggered. And I want to talk about these because it's very possible that our EVAP system is not actually leaking. And because of that, it's important to check these items. And number 1, go ahead and open up your fuel tank access door where you have your gas cap that you remove anytime you are filling the vehicle with fuel, and check the overall condition of the gas cap itself. And not only the gas cap, but really inspect that rubber seal or gasket that loops around the cap and creates that airtight and fuel-tight seal every time the gas cap is screwed back in and secured. In the event that that gas cap is damaged or cracked, or that seal is dry rotted, split, or damaged in any way, you're basically allowing air into the system, and as I mentioned before, that periodic test that takes place every now and then will pick up on that leak. And when it does, it's going to trigger this P0456 error code. So again, double check your gas cap as well as that seal, and if all looks good, we can move on to what's called the EVAP purge valve. However, before we get to that, in our case, DIYers, we don't have a gas cap. Again, 2018 Chrysler Pacifica, and every time we open up that little door to fill the tank with fuel, all we have is a little flap that is spring-loaded to the closed position to create that seal. And what we want to check is that that spring-loaded tab retracts to the closed position every time we remove the fuel nozzle from the fuel filler neck after we're done fueling, because that flap is our gas cap and seal. And if it's not spring-loading closed, there's a problem. There's constant airflow into the fuel system, and the onboard computer will detect that immediately when it runs its test. And at that point, P0456 error code will be triggered and the check engine light will illuminate or turn on. However, if our spring loads back to the closed position properly and as designed, we can assume it's not creating a leak, and therefore we will continue on to that second item, which again is the EVAP purge control valve, or EVAP purge valve. In DIYers, if your gas cap looks perfectly fine, or in our case that little spring-loaded flapper or flap closes and seals properly, it is almost 100% of the time likely that your EVAP purge valve has failed and you want to get it replaced. And with that said, I want to show you what that exact part looks like. Alright, DIYers, in front of us now is our exact 2018 Chrysler Pacifica EVAP purge control valve. And this is the Mopar OEM. And again, that's what it looks like. And this will be inside the engine compartment underneath that large plastic engine cover that says 3.6 liter. And after you remove that, you'll likely see this part right away, as you have two hoses connected to it, one on each side, and an electrical wiring connection. And as I mentioned, if all looks good with your gas cap or flapper, this is 100% the next part to check and replace to get that P0456 error code resolved and turned off. And DIYers, down below in the comments and description, you will find links, which includes a link to purchasing this exact OEM purge valve. We will also have a few links to aftermarket parts in the event that you want to go that route and save some money. However, in our opinion, Mopar OEM is the way to go. And in addition to those links, we will have several additional video links that cover the P0456 error code. And by watching those, you may get some additional info that may be helpful, maybe not, but hopefully. And because of that, we are going to provide them to you. And DIYers, in the event that you just ignore this and just continue driving, you probably won't notice much of an engine performance change. The most likely thing that will happen is your leak will continue to grow or get larger. And what will that cause? Long story short, you will begin to smell fuel odors, likely inside the vehicle while you're driving and or outside of the vehicle when the engine is running. And DIYers, that's it. Again, down below in the comments and description will be additional links, and one of which will be the step-by-step video on how to properly and safely replace this valve on our 2018 Pacifica.